My dear nephews, I hope you're doing well. This is my attempt to try and give you a few nuggets for living a life that makes sense. It's unfortunate that we don't have private jets to fly from one part of the world to the other, but we're scattered all across, right? The UK, the US, and Nigeria. And so what I'm going to try and do once in a while is record short videos to encourage you, and then you can share it with your friends. Hopefully it encourages them as well. In this short video, I want to tell you about a book that I read when I was younger and what it did for me. Actually, two books. So first of all, in your phase of life and moving on in life, no matter what phase of life, you want to make sure that you're reading good books. And so when I was in 7th grade, so about 11, 12, somewhere around there, I read a book by Zig Ziglar called You Can Reach the Top. Now, in Nigeria, Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, those are famous authors. And they would write books about leadership. They would write books about life and how to live. And I read this one where it will give you a quote, and then it will tell you a story. So for example, it will give you a quote about doing your best. Then it will give you a Bible verse about doing your best, and then it will tell you a story about someone who did their best. That book was very influential in helping me to just think, just think differently. Very good book. So I have a copy. It's rare to find. I have a copy, and I'll probably share some of those lessons from that book with you. But I want to encourage you to read good books. So if you don't mind, send your uncle whatever books you're reading. Tell me what book you're reading. If you want a book in a certain genre, let me know. But I want to encourage you to make sure that you read every day, even if it's for a few minutes. You live in a generation now where there's so much technological advancement that it's easy to be distracted all day. And it's easy to be learning different things from YouTube. And there's nothing wrong with learning things, but you want to make time to read. Reading does something to your brain that helps you and helps me. And especially later in life, if you go into a field, actually a lot of fields these days in the technical sense would require you to read papers or read books or read articles, and you don't want to have a situation where you haven't trained yourself to read well. So I want to encourage you to read. That's number one. And I'm going to give you tips from Zig Ziglar another day. The second book I read that was very influential in my life that I think would be good for you is called Think Big by Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson was a pediatric neurosurgeon. They made a movie about him called Gifted Hands, and I encourage you to watch that. So the movie Gifted Hands and the movie Amazing Grace, those two movies are wonderful. Gifted Hands is about Ben Carson, and Amazing Grace is about William Wilberforce, the British parliamentarian, or British man in parliament. Okay, so I want to encourage you to watch those as well. Let me know what you think about them. But for the book Think Big, Ben Carson takes the word think big and he basically makes it so that each letter represents something. T stands for talent. Use your talents. Be a blessing to others. H stands for honesty. I stands for, well, there's two I's. One is for insight and one is for in-depth learning. Insight is where you can learn from other people that have gone ahead of you so you don't repeat their mistakes. In-depth learning just means that you're learning not just for grades, but to understand the material before you. So T is for talent, H is for honesty, I is for in-depth learning, N is for nice, be nice to people, be kind to people. K is for knowledge, seek to gain knowledge. Again, don't make things about just grades. Make sure that you're learning for the sake of learning. B is for books, which is one way to acquire knowledge, but also very important to read. I is for insight, the other I, and then G is for God. And Ben Carson says, never get too big for him. That's what he says with the letter G. Those are two books. You Can Reach the Top by Zig Ziglar and Think Big by Ben Carson. I'm sure I'll have more books over time. But the idea with some of these videos is really, hopefully, a way to encourage you the best I can. We'll still call you once in a while to check in on life. But I hope that we can also just, have nuggets that you can think about, chew on, and then feel free to email me, amostarfa1@gmail.com, amostarfa1@gmail.com. What I mean is when you read any of these materials, feel free to send me an email telling me your thoughts, or you can even record a video too if you want. So anyways, to my nephews and nieces, I hope this was helpful to encourage you, and I hope to do this once in a while, but it's just time is ticking. Some of you are getting older. Some of you are getting closer to 18, and I can't believe it. So this is my attempt to try and give you some words of encouragement. which reiterates what your parents are telling you. So take care. Reach out if you ever have questions, and have a blessed day. Take care.